Welcome to the Life Jacket Podcast, where we talk about topics to help you get through the waves of life. I'm Bless. We have our co-host here, AJ, and we have a special guest today, Keynon. But before we get started, we're going to go with the win of the week. So for the Life Jacket as a whole, our win of the week, we've got up to 100 followers. And once again, thank you everyone for following, subscribing, giving comments, and positive feedback, as well as negative feedback. But we appreciate your support. So what's up, AJ? How are you doing today?
I'm good. My win of the week is my frat brother. I went to his baby shower yesterday, and so really getting to celebrate my chapter, get to celebrate new life. I love my chapter, New Z, Cap Alpha Psi. So I really do enjoy being around my chapter, just celebrating life. And that was really, really exciting to see. And so we'll pass it to Keynon, our guest for today. So Keynon, what is your win of the week?
Hey y'all, Keynon. So my win of the week is I got invited to my first influencer event, which is kind of crazy because I didn't expect to become an influencer, but it feels good to recognize like my habits have been being recognized. So I'm happy. I'm happy about that.
And what is your page they can follow you on?
Oh, you can follow me at 1 Key to Life. That's ONE, the number 2 key to life. Hey now.
Throw that on there. So, Keynon, I don't really know too much about you, right? So, AJ, I know you're one of AJ's fraternity brothers. But for me, of course, and as well as for the audience, tell us a little about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So oh my gosh, what about me? So I am a Philly native, originally born and raised in West Philadelphia. Literally same story as Will Smith. I got transplanted, moved to Delaware. After some time in Delaware, I spent a lot of my time getting some education in Delaware. Came back to Philly. I'm officially back here in Philly. Some things about me is, like I said, I'm starting to become an influencer, I think. I just got a new dog, so shout out to my baby Ivy. I'm a plant dad. Originally I did the whole law school route. That wasn't really what I really wanted to do, but now I'm in project management, so that's where most of my skills lie now. But other than that, I don't know. I consider myself like a life liver. I tend to like have as many adventures as possible and make sure like be outside, y'all. We're young, so that's kind of my big thing.
And when you say life liver, what do you mind? Just for my own stuff, like, what do you mean? Just is it more just like living life, or is it just kind of just finding what makes you happy?
I think it's a mixture of the two because I don't want to have any regrets when I get older to say like, oh, I buckled down to focus on this, that, and the third. However, I do have priorities and goals that I want to focus on. So I try to like balance those two of I'm living currently present in this moment, but at the same time, I'm realizing that life is short. So make sure you're living it every single day.
Couldn't agree more. And so, for the life jacket, we really pride ourselves on talking about, waves that people go through in life or waves that people deal with. So what would you consider like a wave in your life that you went through at any point in your life that good or bad, that kind of made you into the person that you are today?
Okay. So question, is this like, are you asking in a sense of why we're all here today? Or are you just asking like just life
in general, like what's like kind of a wave or something that you hit that changed not changed the trajectory of your life, but kind of made you into who you are?
Honestly, I feel like for me, I'm going through consistent waves that are changing me by the day. I think one of the biggest things for me probably was, so a little fun fact about me, I was actually kicked out of middle school my 8th grade year. I think that changed the trajectory of my life completely because I went to private school my entire life. And I didn't, so,
literally, yeah.
And it wasn't like anything crazy. It was honestly like something that could have been self-soothed. However, like at private school, they don't play. So I think when I was kicked out, it was just such a traumatic experience that like I was literally uprooted. It was already had enough that I was going back and forth because like I said, I was a transplant for a little bit, but I was from Philly, moved to Delaware, was still going back and forth to school in Philly. And then I wind up having to fully transition all the way to Delaware. It made everything in life so differently. So I know it definitely impacted my family. It definitely impacted finances. It definitely impacted just the way I think about things. But I would say that was probably one of the biggest things that have changed my life.
And so do you feel as though you getting kicked out was in 8th grade? Do you think part of that was the commuting back and forth from Delaware to Philly, or was it just something that was just going on in the school?
No, it was something stupid. Looking back on it, I don't think it was necessary, but I was just being a dumb kid. Like it was just a dumb kid, and I could have got out of it too. But however, like I was an honest dumb kid. But I always look at these negative things of like how it's positive. So part of me, I thank God, because if it wasn't for that, I think looking at like my parents' finances, life would have been completely different. So, all of us, we were all in private school and my brother was going to college. However, as soon as that changed, I wind up going to public school. My little brother went to public school. My brother went to college. So honestly, a lot of our finances were redirected into more probably beneficial places. My brother probably had more money in his pocket because he was now in college, and my parents now had more money because they weren't paying for us to go to private school. So I always say, like, every disaster comes with a blessing at the end. So in the end, I think it all worked out.
No, that's a bar.
Yeah, and we know about private school too. Like we probably got suspended and
pink slips, demerits,
all that.
all that stuff.
Like, hey, you're a young kid, and opinion wise, I feel like sometimes private schools or certain schools, they don't know how to direct their whatever they want to do, like repercussions of how we are.
Right.
They don't know how to
properly manage punishment. It just never is managed right. But hey, you guys made me a warrior, so I'm not upset about it.
Exactly.
Nah, you're funny. So I guess my next question would be for you is, what was, coming out like? I know that for some people that could be a little more sensitive than others. Some people kind of really struggle with it. So if you don't mind, just sharing with us and the podcast, like what was coming out.
Yeah, this is where I need the life jacket. So let me tighten up. Wow, coming out. That was probably, I feel like I came out in phases, where it was more so like it was an experience for me, because first I had to come out to myself. Like I had to actually like realize in myself, like I am, oh, by the way, I identify as gay, but originally I had to accept that I was just a little bit different, and not even different in a bad way, just different in my mentality just was skewed a little bit. So once I came out to myself, I think it was probably around like 5th, 6th grade. I came out to myself bisexual, but I didn't act on it. Like I didn't make any acts because I didn't know who I was. I probably didn't make any big drives until maybe high school. I think it wasn't until like my junior year of high school where, you go through all that puberty phase and you're figuring yourself out. But now it's like, okay, there's other people who are probably liking the same things, and you think that you can make those like pivots. I made that, okay, the next phase of me coming out was I tried to tell my brother about it via text message. I feel like it was taken well. And then I came out to my parents. Now that part, love my parents to death. I think that was a very transformative experience, because I'm coming to them explaining like, hey, I'm not 100% sure, but I think at the time I was saying I was bi-curious, but I think I was bisexual. And, I think it's just hard for people to take in when it's finally like, okay, well, you finally said it, but now we have to attack it. So, and it, just like raising a child, there's no book to how to treat this. There's no book to accept how this works. So I think that was a roller coaster in itself. I didn't come out to the public up until maybe like my first year of college. And I tried to do the whole like, oh, let me make a post about it, which looking back, I'm like, Keynon, you're a grown man. You didn't have to do none of that. Like it was definitely not necessary. However, young me, I think needed that validation of like, all right, now I don't have to tell people over and over and over. Now you guys can go to this source and you can refer to the source. And even like now to this day, I feel like I'm still constantly coming out. However, like now I think I'm living more truth of my outness, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So do you feel as though your parents, you said that was the hardest, was it more, do you feel as though like they wouldn't understand, or is it just more like, oh, it's your parents, they love you, so you didn't know how they were going to kind of take it?
I think it's more so you're so worried about being judged because you see how society already treats people who, especially black men. You already see how they're treating young black men when they're not sure of how their sexuality is. And people make jokes about it all the time, saying this and that, especially back in the day, everything's gay, like gay, in a negative connotation. So it's hard to confront that when it's viewed in such a negative caliber. And so when you had to tell the people you idolize, hey, I'm, with the LGBT, I think it's more so like, I don't want to disappoint you. So I think it was definitely like a rock and a hard place between my family and I. And it was something we had to traverse. I can definitely say like it was an experience that wasn't easy at first, but now I think we've all come to just move with it and accept it. So it feels a lot better now.
No, that's good.
I agree. Because yeah, like honestly, I feel like it's better to accept who you are, especially family and friends, or who the person they are, because at least it's your genuine self,
Right.
right? So at least they're not accepting someone that's fake,
Right.
and like you could pretend this whole time like, hey, I'm not gay, and then you're not really getting the real
Right.
you. And so I definitely can understand like that process that you guys went through, and which was good of the just accepting like, hey, this is who you are, this is how you are. And like, so how did you kind of know that you were gay?
That question is funny to me because like it's almost like me, and no offense, but it's almost like me asking, how do you know you're straight? You know,
Yeah.
like what are the telltale signs for you to know that that's who you are? And it's almost like people ask like, well, have you tried being with a girl before? Yeah, I have. Like, have I enjoyed it? Yes. But I think for me, I didn't really know until I recognized that I no longer was getting pleasure for being with women in an intimate aspect. Whereas more so like I just enjoyed the actual relationship of being with women, like the aspect of, oh yeah, this is my friend. I enjoy spending time with you. I'm not having those thoughts when you're a young kid of like, you're in the same space as me. More
Yeah.
so like, okay, we're here together. We're constantly enjoying the space. And then when I noticed it pivoted, I felt like it pivoted when I was more so, and I don't want to say like around other boys, but it was more so like I think I just had a different desire. And I think it also stems from like me just wanting to have more relationship with other men. I think growing up, I think that also played a role into like, okay, yes, I do enjoy it, but also I think I seek it a little bit more. So I think over time I've just come into that mindset.
Okay, that makes sense.
That makes sense. And I guess to follow up, so what do you feel, and you may have answered this, but just more, you can give your perspective, maybe a broader perspective, because maybe you have, gay friends. Like, what do you feel is the hesitation for coming out? And especially like for, me and Bless, like, we're straight. And so we want to just try to understand, like, why do people hesitate a little bit? Is it maybe because, they're around so many straight people and they don't want to be judged, or do you think that may be an aspect, or like, do you mind just diving a little bit into that?
Yeah, it's like it's a double-edged sword where it's like, I want to be who I am. However, when you're not getting the support, especially at a young age, it makes you question how you feel comfortable being in spaces. So I don't want to say like how I present, but I feel like I'm straight. I don't want to say I'm straight passing, but I'm straight. I have a straight mentality where like and that's such a cliche thing to say, but to make sense of it for others, like I understand how most men think. I'm a man, so I understand because I grew up in those spaces where it's like I'm listening to the boys talk. I did the boys locker room. Also, like I partook in those conversations, but you always hear it. It always happens in that conversation. You have that individual that's like, nah, I don't do that, gay, and I don't do that, nah, no homo. When you're constantly being hit in the face with that, it's almost like, well, darn, how do you feel about me? And even though like unfortunately, like men, I think it's a lot harder for them to realize that someone's gay amongst them, because they're like, nah, that's the bro. Like, like we do all the same things, which I did. I was doing all the same things. I played in typical heterosexual male. Like I played sports. Like I chilled with men a lot of times. Like I enjoyed the conversations. However, like I don't want to say like deep down secretly inside. No, it was more so like I was myself, but I couldn't really divulge because I was fearful of how it would be taken up against me. I think what actually, to really answer your question, what took me so long was I was afraid of someone with power influencing me or taking something away from me. So it wasn't more so, yes, I was afraid, but at the same token, like I didn't want someone to use it against me. And I think that's a hesitation that I have even to this day. Like I don't want someone to be like, because of your sexuality, I'm going to take this benefit away from you. Because I've seen it happen. Like I've seen it happen. Also, I've seen people's lives been taken because of it. So it's like, hesitation runs in so many different facets of your safety, your personality, your social capital. It's so many aspects of that which cause you to hesitate.
Yeah, that
I,
makes
I
sense.
was, I
And then
was
so it's like that's it. I feel like that's like kind of like with even as you are a black man,
Mhm.
and then now you have the part of being gay added
Right.
on to it,
Right.
and so I can see where like it's already hard,
Mhm.
right? And then now it's just an extra layer
Right.
for them to whoever
To add
them
on top
is
of it.
to have an
Right.
excuse of to attack you and stuff.
Mhm.
It makes sense of trying to like the hesitant part of
Mhm.
trying not to come out and
Right.
just out in the open. But like I guess when you also I guess build that trust with people
Right.
and they start to like accept you for who you are,
Mhm.
then it's easier to
I
probably
agree.
come out and be able to say like, hey, like this is me, and you guys already built that rapport
Right.
to where it's like, hey, you either accept me for who I am or you don't.
Mhm.
But the way the world's working and has been, like obviously we know history and
Right.
stuff like that, it's still something that's just not super out in the open
Right.
in regards to the ramifications of what happens or the negative impact on people. Like, yeah, like people can be out and open and gay, but no one's really talking about like, oh wow, they didn't get this job
Right.
or
Everything that comes with it.
yeah,
Like
exactly.
it's so multi-layered, and it's a weight on you when you hold it in, the longer you hold it in.
Mm.
And I remember my mom saying to me, like, in an advice manner, she was like, and similar to what you were just saying, like, you're already born into this world with two strikes against you. You're a man and you're a black man. Adding gay to it is a gay black man, and that is like almost shunned upon in our society. So I think I'm happy she could tell me those things so I could prepare myself. Like, not everyone's accepting of this lifestyle. And listen, it took me some time to accept it, but it comes with the territory.
And I think you have a good point because I think we all know, especially like black older like
Oh yeah.
grandparents,
Oh
like
yeah.
especially like if you're like Christian,
Oh yeah.
live in the South, like they don't play
Mhm.
that. That's something they don't. Well, they do look down upon sometimes. So I could see where you're coming from in a sense of it could be a little a little scary. And so like, how do you feel like your life has been
Mhm.
since you came out? Do you feel as though people are more accepting? Do you
Right.
still feel like there's backlash?
Right.
Has your confidence gone up? Has your
Mhm.
self-esteem gone up? Like,
Right.
what's that kind of been like?
First, I want to say, like, I'm a God-fearing young man. I think that has allowed me to really accept things. I think God already knows. So why do I have to keep the secret from everybody else?
Yep.
I think ever since I came out, I feel like there has been like a weight lifted off my shoulder where it's like before I would be like, oh my gosh, are they wondering like, am I passing in these spaces? Do I have to worry about like someone questioning me in front of other people, or are they talking about me? And then I realized, and I was like, Keynon, you are the main character in your story. However, everyone else is a side character. So that means in everyone else's story, they're main characters and you're a side character.
Mhm.
So on that episode, be who you are. Like, be who you are. And I've done that in almost every single space moving forward. Like, either you guys are going to enjoy me or you're not going to enjoy me. However, I know I'm a hoop. Like, I know I'm a time. I know that people enjoy me. However, there's an extra layer to it that makes it no different than everybody else. Like, your favorite color is green, your favorite color is blue, my favorite color is black. Okay, awesome. So why can't we all just have the same space? So yeah, coming out was probably one of the best things I could have done for myself because I feel a lot more at peace with myself.
Mhm.
I feel like people are a lot more, they're less on their tippy toes when they're talking around me because I can make like a joke and they're like, and I'm like, it's all right, guys. I can say that. Y'all can say it too. But it just feels like a lot easier in these spaces to just have that weight taken off.
Absolutely. That's like your foundation.
Yeah.
Like, the episodes. We always talk about know who you are,
Yes.
and like that's like the basis of what we try to get at, and that's what you've done.
Mhm.
Like first, like you said, it had to start with you.
Right.
Because if you weren't confident in who you are, then you can't be able to tell somebody else like, hey,
Who am I?
yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
And then with all the negativity going past it, then it gets even harder to like defend who you are because you
Mhm.
don't really know who you are.
Mhm.
So I do respect you on that. Like first off,
Thank you.
starting with the foundation of, and it just leads into like our whole thing of the life jacket and knowing who you are.
Right.
And so I guess one more question I have is, how do you, hold on, forgetting it. what do you suggest to a viewer
Mhm.
who maybe, you know, gay or not straight or
Right.
just in general wants to come out,
Right.
but they're nervous, they're scared,
Mhm.
they're not really sure how people are going to take it.
Right.
But you know that weight is still holding in them. So like what's like a suggestion or suggestions you
Right.
you know give a viewer listening
Right.
or somebody who may find this episode, like what suggestion would you give them?
Honestly, like, take your time. It's not a rat race. Take your time to like discover who you are, because honestly, it takes people years to figure out who they are, what they want to be, and how they're going to get there. So I would say to the young gay, bisexual, whatever, or anyone that wants to rise, trans, anything under the sun, take your time. You are not in a rush. Figure out who you are, and then when that time comes, you don't have to come out. You're just who you are. I wish I knew that for myself, and I wish I could have told younger me, like, this is who you are, and that's okay. Find your faith, find your base, and just find the people. And then just as like allies, like if you guys consider yourself allies, I would definitely say, like, if you recognize it, it doesn't make, I always want to say, like, it doesn't make someone feel bad. Like, you know, I always knew. That doesn't make me feel warm inside. That doesn't make me feel like, because in the end, I'm like, darn it, I was trying to hide it. However, like, if you can, just support them. Be there for that person. Like, if you have to show them a little bit more attention to let them know, like, you're in a safe space, do that. Like, always let them know that they can be who they are in every space, but never pressure someone. Just sit, be ready when they're ready to come out, take their time, because when it happens, it happens.
No, that's really good feedback. I definitely feel as though, like, you know, you're in our chapter, so I know for a fact, like, you're yourself.
Yeah, like, even
like, we give you a safe space to, this is
who I
Keynon,
am.
like, he's gonna be himself, and we accept it. And like, part of the brotherhood, like, nobody's like, oh, you know, Keynon's gay, we're looking crazy. Like, no, nobody has
It's like,
ever
I'm just
done
joking.
that. I know nobody does that. Like, I feel like that's important, because like, you guys, not you guys, but I feel like, you know, calling it, you know, as gay, like, you want to be around, you still want to be around,
Right.
you know, heterosexual men, and I feel like, oh man, they're gonna look at me crazy, you know, they might shade me or talk about it. Nah, you just want to be yourself, and creating that space.
Seriously. And like, even now, like, I still hang out with more heterosexual men than gay men. And I think it's mainly because I think for me personally, I think that's what I grew up with. However, would I have loved to have a mentor that was a gay man that looked like me and reminded me to feel safe in those spaces? A lot of the character types I see on social media or in TV shows. However, like, the people that made me feel the most comfortable, like you said, is my chapter. Like, I felt most protected by the men that accepted me into this chapter because they love me for who I am. So I think, honestly, thank you for loving me for who I am and just giving me the tools, because at the end of the day, we're all young men going towards the same goal. So yeah, shout out to y'all.
100% agree. Do you have anything else you want to say? Any advice? Any to the viewers? Anything else you want to say before we do our takeaways?
I want to give a shout out to you, which also helped me. Was you were talking about, I forgot what episode it was, but you were talking about the book Atomic Habits.
Habits make who you are.
Yeah. Habits make who you are. Apologies. But I think you were saying, what were you saying? You were giving a recitation from the book, basically saying, like, yeah, habits who you are. And I had to remind myself, like, Keynon, you have to habitually be who you are to be who you are.
Yeah.
So thank you for bringing that up. And I really want to say thank y'all for this podcast, because y'all are giving a lot of young people priceless tools. Like, I listen and I write down these notes and I take what you guys say, because honestly, you need someone that looks like you to tell you, like, hey, you should try doing this. And honestly, like, I've started my planner because of you guys. I've started going to the gym consistently because of you, because I'm in control of my life. So shout out to you. I really do appreciate you both for what you guys offer.
Yeah, no, that definitely means a lot. Bless, any
takeaways? So, yeah, what was that thing you were saying about the life? You said at the beginning when we introduced
lifer. It was
Life
something like life lifer.
I'm gonna use that. Yeah, I like that, because like, it's good that as you're living, you are living in the present,
literally,
with consciousness of the future.
Right.
And so I think that's super important, because a lot of people, or most people, they're always like, oh, what the future, and they miss what's happening now.
Honestly.
And so that's one of my takeaways. I actually like using that. I'm still on that, by the way.
Seriously.
I'll quote you and
Thank
stuff
you,
like
thank you.
that.
Put
But
that phone down, y'all. Enjoy life.
absolutely. But
And I think my biggest takeaway is, just accept people who they are. I got bullied a lot, severely bullied as a kid. And so I always felt like I had a hard time fitting in, and I felt like I wasn't accepted either. But, as you get older, you mature, you just realize, people are just mean, and you just kind of have to accept that.
Kids are just mean.
Yeah, they're
Like,
just mean. And
I don't know what's wrong with them.
yeah, kids are just mean. And so definitely just, accept people for who they are. You never know, the friendships you'll build with somebody, the people you meet in your life. Like me and Keynon, we're real close, from our chapter. And so really just accepting people for who they are. And so that's it. We're gonna wrap this up. We appreciate everybody for taking time. Thank you, Keynon, for coming on the episode.
Absolutely.
Don't forget to subscribe, follow us on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and we'll see you guys next episode. Peace.
Yeah.